chat, Star Taylor. Don't forget the $sign. And we here with another reaction. I thought I'd switch it up this time. Usually, you know, I react to music videos. And I've been doing some longer form content as well. But I saw Ari Lennox was leaving Dreamville. And I actually saw she had put out like a statement or something. And people were responding. So I just thought I'd check that out, man. I rock with Ari Lennox. I like her music. I'm a big fan of Dreamville. I fuck with Cole. And so it's just interesting to me. You know what I mean? I'm an artist myself, so it's like I think the goal is always, you know, every artist has in their head like, I want to get signed. You know what I mean? That's like making it to the NBA or, you know, making it to the league or something. But once you get there, you realize it's a lot of business involved and it's not really exactly what you thought it was. And so I'm kind of curious to see kind of what happened here and why she's leaving. You would think it would be kind of a perfect fit, but I've always, you know what I mean, her rumblings, her not being happy there. So let's check it out though.
I just hit on my niggas. I just hit on my niggas and tell all my niggas that this is the year we gon' make it. This is the
Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. This is just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Shout out to everybody who watches, who likes, who comments, who subscribes. You know, I talk.
That's a dope name, by the way. Just my thoughts.
I try to get as active in those comments as possible, and I appreciate all of y'all. Also, shout out to all of our community members, and shout out to all of our monthly music club members. If you want to join either one of those tiers, you're on desktop right under the video. There's a join button. With the monthly music club, we got our own Discord where we talk about music and different things 24/7 discuss. Shout out to the gang. We want to talk about Ari Lennox right now though, man. So Ari Lennox is in her soft girl era, but she's out of her Dreamville era, okay? Yesterday, TMZ reported that Ari is off of Dreamville and that she'll remain signed directly to Interscope Records. For those who may be unfamiliar, Ari was, you know...
I know, like, a lot of times, I was just reading this about, like, TDE, is that, like, they're a label, but they for the individual artists on the label, I saw it was like somebody was responding to a comment about why Ab-Soul and SZA don't get the same level of marketing. And it's like, what they were explaining, it was like SZA has a partnership through TDE with, I want to say like Interscope, which would be similar to Ari Lennox. And then Ab-Soul had like an independent deal. So the marketing dollars were coming from the partnerships, you know what I mean? So since there's a bigger machine behind that's partnered with SZA, that's why she was getting more, you know, more of a look. So I just kind of wonder if it's something similar to that, where Dreamville has different label deals for their artists, or if they're like a subsidiary of Interscope, or do they like distribution through them?
With just how the business works, of course, you're familiar with Ari Lennox. Ari was signed to Dreamville in 2015, and by that time, Dreamville had a partnership with Interscope Records, who distributed the label's records, or at least some of their artists, right? Like, you have artists now.
So they did have a distribution deal through Interscope.
Like Earth Gang, who are still Dreamville, but they distributed their last project through United Masters and took a more independent distribution route. But Ari has been vocal in the past, for those of you who've been paying attention.
And I think they do that because it's like, you want to get the best situation for whatever artist. You know what I mean? What works for this artist and what's best for this artist might not be what's best for that artist.
She's been vocal in the past about her dissatisfaction with the label. Back in October last year, she was dissatisfied how her music was being promoted, or lack thereof. You know, she talked about buying her own Google ads, and you know, this was after the release of her Smoke video. So it seems that the performance of that video wasn't to her liking, or the promotion of that video wasn't to her liking, and she took to social media to explain, and during that time explicitly said, verbally said, we can all hear it, that she wanted to be released.
Buying your own Google ads is kind of crazy in the sense of like, at that point, what is the label doing? You know what I mean? Because I can do that. Like, anybody can do that. You can do that. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's also like, you know what I mean? I hear a lot of times the label don't do nothing but just give you a bag and attention. You know what I mean? What you do with that bag and attention is up to you, but they don't, I don't think labels move like they used to back in like the 2000s and 90s and times like that, or even the early 2010s, where they do a lot of shit for you. I think nowadays it's like, man, all we gonna do is use our relationships to help you elevate your career. Other than that, it's up to you, big bro. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you, bro. Make it happen.
She's out. Now she's released. And according to TMZ says that they believe that the split was amicable. So whoever their source was made sure to say that it was an amicable split, which, you know, I could believe. Ari was, you know, she did perform at Dreamville earlier this month. And while on stage, reportedly, she thanked jcole and the label for making her dreams come true. You know, she was very vocal about wanting to be off the label. And, you know, I can't see Cole or Ebe or anybody involved with that label and that brand, like, keeping an artist against their will. Like it seemed like something that needed to be figured out, that they would.
Yeah, if J. Cole was holding people in their deals, man, I'm not gonna lie, Cole, we look at you crazy. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Trying to figure out, and whatever the terms of the split was, they split. They amicably split. They agreed on the term, on the split, on what an exit would look like, and, you know, they probably both feel that this is for the best. So, you know, but this comes as Ari's latest single, Soft Girl Era. Okay, that was released on March 26th, and if you look on the Spotify and the CP line, if you look all the way down, I'm showing it on screen, that's normally where you find label information. So you can see that single was released by Interscope solely, with no attribution to Dreamville. So, you know, the news broke yesterday, but it seemed like this was in motion for a while. And,
you know what I'm saying?
And her new single, the current single, which they're working, Soft Girl Era, Interscope solely. No.
Like, why is this news now then? You know what I mean? What's the point?
No Dreamville.
Is it just to promote the song? Because I saw she just dropped the Soft Girl Era song, you know, not too long ago. Pretty much like right before this news broke. So is that just like, in a sense, marketing?
That record was produced by Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox, legends, songwriting legends, production legends, especially in the R&B space. And it features a sample from the Newberg's 1972 record, You Are What I'm About. That's the same sample that was most famously used in Junior Mafia's Players Anthem in 1995. That song, of course, featured Notorious B.I.G., featured Lil C's, and it was the rap debut of Lil Kim. It was rap debut of Lil C's too, but it was the rap debut of Lil Kim, who, you know, just went on to be an icon, right? So, you know, what does this mean? I mean, despite all this, Dreamville still has motion. JID just released work under the label. And if you look, it's Interscope / Dreamville, I believe. Boss and the Hicks just dropped their Everyday People single under Dreamville Fiends. And Omen just dropped a single called Alibi under the label. And the world's waiting for J. Cole's next project. So, you know, there seems to be plenty of things on deck for Dreamville still.
Then what really happened then? You know, like, I just don't understand what really happened. Like, is it because you have, it's, you know what I mean, just having a beat by Google as just being marketed a certain way? They said, she said, you know what I mean, I don't like being marketed like I got mental health issues. Or I'm not trying to be the spokesperson or the head or that be a part of my brand, you know? But is that like the label trying to create that narrative? Or is that like, you know, the internet taking your rants and you know what I mean, and clickbaiting them and making them, you know what I mean, more than what it is, or something that it's not necessarily? Was it like just the matching of things? I know she didn't like going on tour with, I want to say Rod Wave, and didn't feel like that was a good match from his crowd to her crowd. I can see why somebody would think it would be, but then I could also see why it could totally not be that way at all. You know, just because motherfuckers sing don't mean that the singing should be together. But I'm just kind of curious.
You know, I said I had high hopes. I said in this video and one before it that I have very high hopes for JID this year. I think this is going to be a breakout year. I think this is going to be like a real defining year for the rest of JID's career. It should be. I think whatever he does next. the next album should be one that we look back on as like, oh wow, like he's here and he's here to stay and a major player. But we'll see. That's just my feeling and my inkling, my hope as a fan. I hope Jid levels up this year to a whole nother level. So I'm very much looking forward to Jid.
Jid been going crazy. Shout out Jid, man.
Project. Boss and the Hicks, everyday people. Boss is just good music, just feel good music. So I have no doubt that what they're doing is gonna.
Well, I wouldn't say like Dreamville really got like another. I would say Jid is the next star there. You know what I mean? I feel like they thought Ari Lennox was gonna be that, but I guess I guess all attention goes to Jid. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody else though. I fuck with Earth Gang too. They're really wavy. I've been sleeping on them.
Good, and then jcole, the head of the label, the star of the label, the nucleus of.
I was say, is Ari like the ransom of a Dreamville in the sense of, you know what I mean, being on a label and just not working for her?
Label, like highly anticipated next album. I'm assuming it's gonna be the Fall Off. But we'll see. You never quite know with Cole. But so, Dreamville still has motion, despite this was probably for the best because, this was I think becoming distracting too, the whole thing with Ari, because last October when she was vocal about it, it was around the same time that Earth Gang dropped their project. So at a time when it should be like, yo, Earth Gang is here, let's check out Earth Gang. Ari has some things to get off of her chest. So I mean, if you're not happy there, this is probably for the best. As for her, it'll be interesting to see where she goes from here. Like, does being off of Dreamville and having a direct relationship with Interscope put her in a better position? Or, if I'm wording it different, or make her happier about where she wants to be and who she wants to be as an artist? Maybe it's just a better fit or a better relationship. And, thinking about, if you listen to the Inevitable podcast last year, just thinking about Cole, talking about what he went through, being signed to Jay-Z and the pressure that he felt to put out music a certain way, to produce hits, the uncomfortability that he felt and he eventually had to get through before he found himself as an artist. You seen what Cole went through. Why would they want to put Ari through that? Why would they want?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why it's so interesting. You feel like, you know how they say in like sports, you know what I mean? Like, this is a player's coach. You would think like being an artist, you'd be, signed to an artist, you'd be dealing with a person that would cater to an artist, especially, I'll say like the J. Cole generation, the Drake generation, the Kendrick generations, because they were like the last the people that kind of broke the label shit. You know what I mean? They were kind of be able to give enough game. They be able to give game to the generations before, so they didn't have to go that route. So it just you know what I mean? It's always like, what really happened? Like, was it the expectations were wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Because it just seems like it's a perfect fit. Then it's also like, okay, if working with Dreamville and Interscope isn't working, how is working with just Interscope going to work? You know what I mean? Like, what about the Dreamville connection was interrupting it that now it's going to be smoother with Interscope? Like, that's my biggest question too. It's like, you're not really, you're just kind of taking off the middleman.
Keep her there.
Not fixing the problem.
If she felt it wasn't a good fit. So I do believe when they say that it was amicable. I think there was some rough parts. I think there was some definitely contentious parts. I want to believe that everybody's intention was good. And so, hopefully this leaves her in a better space of where she wants to be. But we'll have to wait and see. All right? So let me know what you think in the comments, man. Do you think Ari is better off now?
Sure, man. Listen, man. Shout out Ari. Shout out Rob Merkman. You know what I mean? Shout out Dreamville Cole. I hope it all works out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes subtraction is addition. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes just getting rid of the middleman, being able to go directly to the people, could be a better situation. You know what I mean? You can get more out of it. But I hope the best for her. I mean, I think she's important to the culture. You know what I mean? And she's vocal, and we need that vibe. I enjoy her music, and I want, you know what I'm saying, Dreamville to keep doing anything, you feel me? But shit, man, we gonna find out. Only time will tell. But until the next time, it's Chad Star Taylor. Don't forget the $sign. I appreciate y'all time. Until the next episode, you heard? Huh?
Yeah. I've been chasing my dreams while dealing with it. Yeah. I've been chasing my dreams while dealing with